In the name of Allah, the most compassionate, the most merciful, and may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon His last and beloved Messenger Muhammad, and may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon you all. The title of this presentation is Satan and Multiple Personality Disorder, MPD. Now, I will show, brothers and sisters, in this presentation how Allah God Almighty teaches us from the guidance of the last revelation to people, the Quran. This is the Quran, the last revelation of Allah God to people, teaches us how to cure multiple personality disorder, how to cure it fully. Now, just to give you some introduction about this kind of phenomenon of multiple personality disorder. Now, the symptoms of this disorder is that a person changes personalities. For example, a person has at a certain time in the day has a calm personality. Usually that's the case. Calm personality, polite, thoughtful. Now at a certain time he flips to another personality, who changes to another personality, which is in most cases the exact opposite of that calm, together personality. He becomes rude, aggressive, forgetful. So he goes to the exact opposite, multiple personality disorder. Now, in modern psychology, they failed to know the cause of this. What causes this problem? And of course, if you don't know the cause, you don't know how to cure it. And the way they do it, they try to deal with this, that they give pills that place a person in a sedative state. He's sedated. It's like it's just covering the problem, not solving it. Always sedated. So, in a nutshell, modern psychology failed to diagnose and cure this problem. So let's see how from the guidance of the Quran we can get the cause and the cure for this problem. Now, let's go in a systematic way. First we look at the symptoms I just described, then looking at the cause of this problem and how to cure it. Now the symptoms, just to summarize it again, the symptoms of multiple personality disorder: changing one's personality to another personality, having tendencies to harm others, verbally and physically, tendency to talk filthy language and commit perverted sexual acts, tendencies to insult God and religious values. So this other personality that a person flips to usually have tendencies to harm people by swearing, by verbal harm and physical harm, attacking people, becoming aggressive, and having tendencies to talk filthy language and insults and commit perverted sexual acts. And also they have tendencies to insult God and religious values. These are the main kind of characteristics of this altered personality that a person goes into. That's the symptoms. Now, want to know the cause. What causes this? Allah God Almighty in the Quran gives us the cause in one verse, by pondering upon one verse, which is the verse you see on the screen in chapter 2 verse 169, which reads, "He, i.e. Satan, commands you what is harmful, sinful, and to say about Allah God what you have no knowledge of." So in this Quranic verse, Allah describes the effect of Satan on each and every one of us, that he commands us to commit harmful acts and sinful acts, and to say about Allah God what we have no knowledge of. Now, if you compare the symptoms of Satan on each and every one of us, shown in blue here, with the symptoms of multiple personality disorder, you see that they're exactly the same. So this altered personality that a person flips into, or this changed personality, it has the same characteristics exactly of the symptoms or the effect of Satan on us, urging us to commit harm, to hurt ourselves and others, and to commit sinful acts, lust and filth, and blasphemy. So I think it's very interesting that the symptoms mentioned in the Quran for the effect of Satan on each and every one of us are exactly the same symptoms of a person having multiple personality disorder. Now, I just want to emphasize a point here, that this disorder, in a way, if you think about it, we all suffer from. Each and every one of us, sometimes we are calm, quiet and thoughtful. Another time we are angry and aggressive. So we have this kind of changing personality, but there are people with extreme changes that it flips 180 degrees. It's like a major change. So this topic, we all need to learn. We learn this presentation. So it's not for a selected group of people that they suffer from this disorder. Okay, so we learn from the Quran that the cause of multiple personality disorder is Satan, the devil. That's the cause for this problem. Now, in order to understand how can Satan cause a person to have this altered personality that is self-destructive, we need to understand how does Satan affect each and every one of us. And the only book on the face of the earth which explains this is the Quran. There is no other book on the face of the earth which explains how does Satan affect each and every one of us. And this effect of Satan, as Allah explains in one verse in the Quran, which is verse 4 of chapter 114 of the Quran, which reads, "From the evil of the whisperer who hides." So Allah is telling us that Satan whispers to us, meaning he talks to us, and at the same time he hides from us, meaning he doesn't want you to feel his presence. So Allah is telling us that each and every one of us, and no one is immune from this, Satan talks to you like a person talking to you, but at the same time he hides from you, meaning he doesn't want you to feel that he's present. Now, how can Satan accomplish this? Now, we know from the Quran, from the guidance of the Quran, that each and every one of us has a companion devil, that when you are born, there is a devil assigned to you, and it stays with you till death. Now, so this Satan, he talks to you all the time, but at the same time, he doesn't want you to feel, he doesn't want you to sense his presence. He wants to hide from you. Now, how can he accomplish this? Because if a person talks to you, you can know that there is another entity. So how can Satan talk to you all the time and still you don't feel him around you? The only way that Satan can accomplish this is if he matches his voice with regard to tone, frequency, the languages you know, style of speech, to your own voice, which is the one you hear in your head when you are thinking quietly to yourself. So every one of us, when we think quietly, we hear the same voice we speak with in our mind. So what Satan does, he matches his voice to that voice, and you experience thoughts, they just pop up in your mind, and you think, because the voice is identical, that your own self is telling you this. Well, actually, Satan is telling you these ideas that pop up in your head, telling you ideas of harm, to hurt yourself and others, ideas of lust and perverted sexual scenarios, and to blaspheme, to insult Allah God Almighty and religious values. So, having understood this, how can we explain from it a person having multiple personalities? Let me give you an example. Suppose that a surgeon, a person which is scientific, he's calm, he has a good personality, let's say. All of his day, he's struggling with these thoughts that pop up in his mind while he's working, or all the day, ideas telling him perverted and filthy language. And because he knows that he's not like this, he's struggling with, where is this ideas coming from? I'm not like this. It gets him agitated and confused. Then ideas come in his mind, insulting Allah God Almighty, So he becomes agitated and confused from these kind of ideas that pop up in his mind and telling him to hurt others, and he's struggling with these thoughts. So at the end of the day, he's worn out from this struggle. So when he comes at the end of the day, he comes home, he just flips. Why? Because he's so drained from struggling these words. He cannot struggle them anymore. He starts being angry and saying these words and acting aggressive, just lashing out. So I think we now understood how Satan can cause a person to have altered personalities by putting these thoughts in a person's mind. And the person, as I said, he's not like this. He's good and he's collected. He's not, he's not like this kind of. He's not like this. So he becomes agitated all the day and confused, and as I said, he becomes drained, and then he just flips because he cannot take it anymore. And the next day, when he's relaxed a little bit, he goes back to being calm and polite. Now, what's the cure for this? What's the cure for multiple personality disorder? Again, Allah God Almighty in the Quran teaches us the cure in only 2 verses. What modern psychology failed to do, Allah teaches us in the Quran in a matter of minutes. So you can see the superiority of the knowledge of Allah God Almighty in the Quran. So the 2 steps for the cure from this, we can learn from firstly verse number 200 of chapter 7 of the Quran, which reads, "And if an evil whisper comes to you from Satan, then seek refuge with Allah God. Verily, He is all hearer, all knower." So Allah is telling us here that when you experience a thought from Satan, you need to seek refuge with Allah, meaning you need to remember this guidance you are hearing right now from the Quran, that this thought you just experienced, telling you harm, lust and blasphemy, is not from yourself. Don't blame yourself for hearing these thoughts. Allah will not judge you for hearing them. So that immediately diffuses this agitation. Because why a person gets agitated? Because these thoughts are far removed from his personality. So he becomes struggling with them. I'm not like this, I'm good, why do I hear these kind of thoughts? So when you realize from the Quran that the source of these thoughts is not yourself, and Allah will not blame you for hearing these thoughts, and they are lies placed in your head, immediately this agitation is diffused. And as I told you, the reason a person flips into another personality because he's worn out from struggling. So if you are not worn out, so again to that surgeon example, a person, a doctor doing a surgery and he's struggling with these thoughts, if he's not struggling with them, then he will not flip out at the end of the day. He will not go into this altered state. So the second step in the cure, we can learn from verse number 168 of chapter 2 of the Quran, which reads, "O people, eat of that which is lawful and good on the earth, and follow not the footsteps of Satan. Verily, he is to you an open enemy." So Allah is telling us here, do not follow the footsteps of Satan. Meaning, these thoughts you just experience in your head from Satan, telling you to hurt yourself and others, and to commit perverted sexual acts and to blaspheme, do not agree with them nor carry them out. So basically, brothers and sisters, once you realize the source of these thoughts, you start to ignoring them, and thus you are not worn out, you will not flip these altered personalities. And we saw, brothers and sisters, how from pondering upon the Quran we can get the cure for this phenomena or this disorder. So please, brothers and sisters, we need to ponder upon the Quran. The power of the Quran comes from pondering upon it and understanding it and implementing it, and not just merely reading it or reciting it. And to know more details about this topic, please visit my website at www.quran-miracle.com, and you can email me at zaidquran@gmail.com, and may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon you all.